A role player made his presence felt in the worst way possible during the Eastern Conference Finals. A two-time MVP shows humility in the midst of domination, and another former MVP's days of deep playoff runs, well, they're over. Let's take a look back at the weekend that was in sports. Welcome into last weekend in sports, everybody. It's your boy, Scott Procter, your Monday morning quarterback. Thank you. Yes, thank you, everybody. All right, quiet down. Now, we got a busy show to get into today. Before we do that, make sure you drop a like, make sure you comment and subscribe, and make sure you stay tuned to the end of this episode to find out who I crowned the weekend warrior. But to today's first topic, man, after playing in just half of Boston's first round games against Atlanta, averaging just 13 minutes a game in round 2 against the Philadelphia 76ers, and then not playing in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat. Grant Williams, he finally got his opportunity to play in game 2 on Friday night, and boy, do the Celtics wish that he didn't. It started when Mr. Williams, who was playing well at the time, splashed a three in the face of Jimmy Butler and had to get in his face to let him hear about it. At that point, the Celtics led by 9 points with 6 minutes left. But that bear that is Jimmy Butler was poked in that moment. And what ensued? It's the stuff of legends. Jimmy immediately gets an and one with the foul, with the free throw over Grant Williams, and the two go face to face, head to head, screaming at each other as the Celtics' hope of tying that series just melted all around them. Jimmy went on to score 6 more points in the final 6 minutes after that and one, and the Heat's 9-point deficit with 6 minutes left quickly turned into a pivotal 6-point Miami victory. As the great poet Drake once said, bench players talking like starters, man, I hate it. Bench players talking like starters, I hate it. I mean, all Grant Williams had to do was not antagonize the one person you shouldn't antagonize on the court, which is Jimmy Butler. Maybe if it was Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown doing a little bit of the mocking, it would have maybe went a little bit different. But I know for a fact that Jimmy freaking Butler ain't taking no crazy talk from Grant Williams. Every series has a turning point, and Grant Williams could prove to be just that for the Eastern Conference Finals. One more note on this series before we move on, man. If Jimmy and the Heat are able to complete this run and win the NBA Finals, man, it's going to go down as one of the toughest, hardest chips in recent NBA history. Just look at the supporting cast around Mr. Butler. Undrafted guys making a real impact. Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, all undrafted players. If Miami and Jimmy particularly are able to blow through the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference, then beat a 2-time MVP in Nikola Jokic in the finals, or LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the finals, that championship run is up there, at least in recent history, with Dirk and the Mavs back in 2011. The highest drafted player on this Miami Heat team is Cody Zeller, who literally looks like a YMCA warrior with the bald head and the goggles. I mean, just look at this man right here. Do he strike fear in your heart? I ain't think so. But Jimmy Butler putting the fear in the hearts of every team in the NBA at this point right now. But moving on from one 3-0 lead to another, the Denver Nuggets are also just one win away from the NBA Finals after beating the Lakers in Los Angeles on Saturday night. Nikola Jokic would have had every reason to be very self-confident during Saturday night's post-game presser, considering the man is averaging 27, 14, and 11 for this series. But this is what he had to say after the game when asked about closing out the LA Lakers. Quote, "To be honest, I'm not going to say that I'm scared, but I'm worried because they have LeBron on the other side, and he's capable of doing everything." End quote. Much respect from your boy Scotty Bands right here to the Joker, because Jamal Murray, Bruce Brown, and particularly head coach Mike Malone haven't been nearly as humble as Jokic was in that moment. But those guys do deserve to talk their talk, including Joker, who has had every reason to talk with how he's played, not only in this series, but for the whole playoffs so far. I haven't obviously personally been historically a big fan of the Joker, but his performance this postseason and the proper respect that he's showing to the GOAT has kind of low-key turned me into a fan. But I have to say this. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. If LeBron James is able to come back from down 3-0 for the first time in NBA history after he came back down from 3-1 for the first time in NBA history, the GOAT debate is over. I don't want to hear about a Michael Jeffrey Jordan as the greatest NBA player ever again if this were to occur. Teams down 0-3 are 0-149 all-time in NBA playoffs history. I don't expect LeBron and the Lakers to pull it off at this point, mainly because of how Joker and the Nuggets have looked, and you don't expect it either. But that's why it would make all GOAT debates go away. But moving on from the NBA playoffs to a former MVP who seemingly hates the playoffs, James Harden is not only expected to reunite with the Houston Rockets this offseason, but there is reportedly an appetite for Harden landing a 4-year contract worth more than $200 million, according to ESPN's Brian Windhorst. What? Who in their right mind is giving 34-year-old James Harden a new 4-year, $200 million contract, especially after watching him fold once again in the playoffs this year, shooting just 39% from the field as the Sixers just blew a 3-2 lead to the Boston Celtics, who don't look good right now themselves. His plus-minus during the playoffs this year was minus 40 through 11 playoff games. That ain't great, to say the least. This reporting of a reunion in Houston for Harden and the Rockets and a 4-year, $200 million contract tells me that James Harden is done competing for championships, if he even was. What situation would be better for one James Harden in terms of winning a title than pairing up with MVP Joel Embiid? So Harden is now teamed up with Chris Paul. Didn't work. Kevin Durant didn't work. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, that didn't work either. And now MVP Joel Embiid. If none of those situations resulted in a championship, then the title is just simply not in the cards for the beard. My guy Josh Eberly ran a Twitter poll over the weekend that simply asked, your team clears enough cap space to sign James Harden to a 4-year, $200 million deal. Do you want this to happen? More than 4,500 people voted on that poll. 93% of people voted no, which sounds about right. Just know if your favorite team signs James Harden this offseason, just know that they are not serious. They are unserious about winning a championship in the near future. But to our final topic, to our weekend warrior, it's Breanna Stewart, who made her New York debut for the WNBA's Liberty on Sunday in historical fashion after signing with the franchise as a free agent this offseason. Stewie dropped a career-high 45 points on 15 of 21 shooting from the field to go along with 12 rebounds. She joined Liz Cambage as the only WNBA players to score 40 points on at least 70% shooting from the field. And it was just the fifth 45-point double-double in league history. What's even crazier is the fact that she did it in just 3 quarters, and her 45 points through 3 quarters are the most in WNBA history. With a new look squad, look for Stewart and the Liberty to make some real noise this season as the WNBA has gotten underway. But that's going to do it for this episode of Last Weekend in Sports. As always, make sure you drop a like, make sure you comment and subscribe, and stay tuned later today as we delve into some stuff on Procter's point of view. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out our other videos, and don't forget to smack that subscribe button down below while you're at it. Also, for more great and original content, head right over to bbmsports.com.